the paint mixer here for a really fun holiday Christmassy painting called Starry Christmas. So here is what we'll be creating today. Kind of a fun, almost like Van Gogh meets Dr. Seuss Christmas painting. So I'm really excited for this. I hope you are all getting in the holiday spirit. And if you've never done something like this before, pretty much how it works is I'll be taking you step by step through this painting and kind of hold your hand along the way, give you tips and tricks. And the awesome thing about the YouTube Live is you're always welcome to pause. So if you need a minute, if you're just need a little extra time to, add that last star on the tree, just push pause. You can always, go get a snack. You can also be in your pajamas this whole time too, which is really great. So I am here in Utah and I work at the paint mixer. So we do a lot of in-person classes, but these are really special to us, these kind of live streams, so that no matter where you are, you can get creative and make our paintings with us. So if you have one of our Creativity to Go kits, which I highly recommend, has all the goodies from our studio delivered to you, go ahead and open it up. So I'm going to go through the contents of that first, just so you know what is what. First up, we have this little package. So in here we have a napkin, our palette, and some butcher paper. So go ahead and protect your space. If you're working at the kitchen table or your desk, maybe even the floor, it's good to protect it with some paper because we're working with acrylic paint. So acrylic paint, if it dries on clothing or carpets, it's permanent. So just keep that in mind. Maybe change out of that really nice white cashmere sweater into something like an old t-shirt or an apron. Also, our paint in our to-go kits is going to come in these little kind of paint pods. So yours may look a little different than this, but go ahead and open them up and you're going to kind of dollop some of that paint onto your palette. You don't need to get all of it out of here. It's nice to save a little bit for later. We're working on a small canvas, so you don't need a lot of paint. That's the cool thing. Also, your canvas, if it's wrapped in plastic, unwrap it. Very important. Also, the one thing that is not in your kit that you're going to need to get is a cup of water. So I have my cup here, and 2 brushes today is all we need. In your kit, you're going to have the same 2. One is a little larger, a little wider. This is the mama. And the little guy, a little smaller, comes to a point. This is the baby brush. So mama and baby are all we need today to create our painting. And also, if you've never done a class like this before, it's all about having fun, being present, letting your crazy, hectic world shrink to a little painting. So have it be a low stress, kind of maybe put on some of your favorite music, have a little snack close by, because we're going to have some fun. It's not about being perfect. It's about just mixing colors and having a good time. So with that, let's get started. I have my little canvas here. You'll notice it's recycled. I gessoed over this, but that's the beauty of a canvas. It's kind of forever. So what was once palm trees is now going to get a Christmas makeover. So first step of our painting, find that mama brush and blue paint. Nice dark blue. This is phthalo blue. And I want you to go, let's say about, what is that? 2 inches from the bottom. And just fill it all the way in, all the way to the top. Nice dark blue. And since this is our first layer, you don't need to be too precious with it. Nothing has to be perfect ever, but especially this first step, since we're going to be covering only 90% of it. Also, sometimes the canvas is a little porous. It's pretty absorbent, so it might absorb your paint and leave you going, like, why is this covering up here? If that's you, add some water to your paintbrush, and that will spread the paint more evenly and get into all the grooves and texture of your canvas. So taking that blue all the way up. You know what else you can do is you can do your side edges as well. So whatever is on the front can kind of fold onto the side edges. And that makes it look nice and uniform and complete once you're all done with the front. And you don't need to buy a frame. Boom. All right, first step, done. A nice warm up, just blue. So I got my nice blue background, and I am going to kind of add a little kind of land down here. So on the example, you'll see it just black and kind of swoopy. I imagine this is like a distant hillside, but really just black paint, keeping it simple. That same mama brush and black paint. And we're pretty much just filling in this bottom portion, but then adding a fun top. So I'm going to add some whoop-de-swoops. A little bit of hill action going on. And then just taking that black all the way down. The cool thing about this painting, too, is if you are into holiday decorations, this makes a great one. You can hang it right up on your mantle, by your wreath or garland. It's kind of nice to have just more holiday stuff around. Alrighty, so now I have blue sky, black little hills. I just need to let this dry a little bit. So you can sit and watch paint dry, which is kind of boring, or you can join me and shake it. This is your cue to put on some good music. Typically, when I teach these classes with people, I bump the music, but I'll let you pick this time. Someone with a good beat helps for shaking. You can even add some lunges in, some squats. Painting doesn't have to be without movement. Also, while I'm drying this, it's kind of nice to take a look at the example and see where we're going. So you see here in this starry night sky, we have some stars, some kind of Christmassy stars. And then around them, there are whirls and swirls. If you, for some reason, don't know the painting Starry Night, look it up right now. Very important painting to know. But that is kind of the inspiration for this sky. Sorry, Vincent. Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, so we're copying a little bit, but that's okay. Art has a lot of similarities and imitation. Maybe we can learn something from the masters. So keep shaking until your sky is dry. The bottom doesn't need to be dry yet, but the sky needs to be pretty dry. So you can tell by either the tap test, or if it's shiny, it's still wet. So shake until the shine is gone. And mine is pretty dry. I think we're ready to move on. Okay, so before we add our swirls, we need to add some anchor points, our stars. So I like to use the baby brush for this. And we're going to start with a really light yellow. So that means mostly white, a little bit of yellow, mix them together. So it's a nice kind of creamy pale yellow. And I am going to kind of map out my sky. So I like in the example how there's this big starlight, star bright over here. So I'm going to make that tall so I can make it a Christmas star. If you want to add a moon, you're welcome to do that too. And I'll add a couple other little stars. I think that's good. So all these are is my anchor point. So now I know what to swirl around. So with that same color on my baby brush, I'm going to start my Vincent van Gogh swirls. So just starting kind of circling around, almost like you're getting hypnotized. And these do not have to be like super solid lines. They can be really kind of short little strokes, or you can continue that swirl and make it more kind of smooth. I do a little bit of both. And then around my big kind of star guy here. Awesome. So now the fun part. So I have just the beginning of my whirl and swirl, and now I get to kind of continue them off to the side. So very much like Starry Night. Sometimes it's nice to get a line down, and then you can start to do the kind of Vincent van Gogh smaller strokes. Still with this light yellow, kind of letting it swirl off the canvas. I imagine it's like a wind blowing. You know, in old maps, how they signify the wind. It's kind of what we're going for too. All right, so I think I'm good with this first color, this light yellow. Now we're going to swap to pure white. So same technique, same brush, now with some white paint. So I'm just adding on to my swirls. And they can overlap too. And you can put some of these on top, overlapping. Cool thing about this is there's no right or wrong. And if you ever are, you know, really are not digging your sky, you can always paint over it. All right, looking good with my white, maybe a couple more just to even it out. All righty, we're getting there, one color at a time. Light blue now. So you can guess, same dealio, same whirls and swirls. This time, white and blue together. So this is gonna be a pale blue with your baby brush. And you know what? I'm gonna stick these kind of light blues now in this kind of in-between zone where there's still dark blue shining through. I think this is a good zone to let that light blue start to shine. Awesome, and take your time. After doing this for a couple years, I just am super kind of quick with the paintbrush, so don't feel any pressure to go as quickly as I do. I encourage you to pause it, take your time, maybe put a song on when you pause it and come back after the song. Awesome, starting to get better, looking more and more put together. Last one is going to be dark blue. So we have this deep phthalo blue. I want you to add the teeniest bit of black, not a ton, just a little bit. So it's deep blue. And any place where there's still some plain blue sky peeking through, I want you to add these strokes, just so it's a little more harmonized all over the sky. Don't want any dead space. It's all moving in these kind of fluid, whirly, swirly strokes. Yay! When you are building your sky, don't forget to step back from it. Look at it from a distance. See what you notice. Sometimes you notice like, I need more of this color. All my stars are the exact same. Whatever you notice, that's okay, but that just enables you to adjust. So if you see something you're not wild about, you can just adjust. So sky is looking pretty good. I'm actually going to go back into my little stars and add some kind of Christmas flair with the baby brush. So baby brush, white paint. And just coming in here and making that little Christmas star. You know what? I'm going to do yellow because I don't think you can see my white. I'm going to do this in yellow instead. And there we go. That's a little more visible. What do you say? And this little Christmas star, like the ones you'd put on top of a tree. And maybe just add a little poke of this bright yellow here and there. I think it really looks awesome on top of these lighter colors. Excellent. Nice, a little brightness. Never hurt. Awesome. Okay, letting this dry a little bit. Shaking again. And while I shake, I just want to show you this kind of Christmas tree we got going. Because this does not look like any Christmas tree I've ever had. This is more like a Dr. Seuss / Starry Night cypress tree combo. So it's kind of wiggly, kind of like little snakes. Gets wider at the bottom. So just keeping that in mind. You're always welcome to do a traditional pine tree, but I'm going to do this more stylized kind of Seussical tree. So once your sky is pretty dry, wow, mine dried fast. It's pretty dry where I am. So if you're in a humid or cold place, your paint's going to take a while, but I am here in sunny, dry Utah, so we are already dry. All right, tree time. Baby brush. So I have this dark kind of jade green. It's called phthalo green. And in order for this to be visible on our dark background, I just need to add a little bit of white. So white and the phthalo green kind of makes this like, I don't know, almost like a jade or a teal. And then over here on the opposite side of my big star, I'm going to start the tree. So starting really thin at the top, wiggling your way down all the way to the very bottom of your canvas. Be brave if you want to practice on, actually, I'll practice too. I need some practice before I go take it to the canvas. So I have a little scratch sheet here. If you have some like old mail or something, maybe like an old bill, you can paint on top of that too. So this is going to start really thin at the top, very lightly, wiggling your way down, adding more pressure as you go. So really thin. And sometimes I like to just kind of draw the bottom of the tree so I know where to stop. A couple others, and it's going to be disjointed little snaky things in the beginning. But once you get to about here, you can start to thicken the bottom and kind of join each little snake shape together until you got a funky little flame tree. All right, feeling good. I'm glad I practiced. It's always embarrassing when you mess up on YouTube Live. Okay, coming back here. Tree time. Starting thin, wiggling my way down. And another little trick here is to start small. It's a lot easier to make your tree wider or taller than it is to shrink your tree. Unless you have like a special shrinking power I don't know about. Awesome. Ooh, I love that color. So pretty. And I'm feeling pretty good about this bottom shape. I don't want it to go much wider, so I'm just going to fill it in so I know where to stop. Still with that green and white together. It's okay to have this be a little streaky too. I think it looks nice to have some brush strokes down in there. And a couple more little branches here. A little bit at a time. So also, if you want your tree to be a different color green, so maybe you want it to be darker. Drop my brush. If you want this to be darker, let this kind of more pale green dry a little bit and then go over top with that pure dark green. Or maybe, let's give this a try, add a little black to that dark green. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh, yeah. Awesome. I love that. I'm going to add a couple more of these strokes, kind of following the shape of my little tree tendrils. Take it all the way down. Great. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about my tree. Now you can probably guess. Before we add decorations, gotta let it dry. Back to shaking. And maybe this Christmas you can make painting like this a new tradition. So if you are interested in something like that, you should definitely go to thepaintmixer.com. Check out our Creativity to Go kits. We have lots of fun options. You can do holiday ornaments, canvas painting, pretty much anything. It doesn't even have to be Christmas, but we are really, really good at kind of bringing families together and doing something fun and unique. Not just the regular Zoom call. You can kind of be creating something and spending quality time, just like you're doing now, but with a couple more people. Mm-hmm. Also, if you just, want to paint solo, that's great too. I do that every day. So, almost dry. I'm trying to decide what kind of ornaments I want to add. I'll probably just keep it simple. Couple lights, couple bulbs, maybe a star on the top. All right. My tree is pretty dry. We'll see. Pause if yours is still really wet and you're still shaking. But I just want to add some lights to this. So I'm going to do white, baby brush, and think about kind of the way you drape lights on a regular tree. So it's going to be kind of like U shapes. A little drape here, a little drape there. And as you go up, the tree is going to get narrower, right? So make sure you're kind of following the contours of your tree. Even on these little skinny guys, you can add these little U shapes. Awesome. Great. So 2 options for lights on these kind of light strands. One, you can kind of angle your brush and kind of they're like the big bulbs, right? You can do them white, you can do them colored. So it's just with the tip of the brush, you kind of angle it out and add one little light at a time. If you want them to be smaller, you can use the tail of your brush. So by dotting, you can make itty bitty little lights and dots all over. So this is fun too. See what feels best. I like the dip and dot. I think this is fun. So I'm just going to kind of continue going between yellow and white. I like them both. Just adding little dots along my lights. Pretty fancy. Yeah, for a while I was collecting Christmas ornaments everywhere I traveled for honestly like 2 years. And then I just forget. And I wish so badly that I would have remembered. I would have had so many more ornaments by now. It's a fun thing to give people because no one ever wants to go out and just buy ornaments. They want them to be special and sentimental. All right. Lights, camera, ornaments. So now you can really freestyle. If you are like really into, I don't know, cake decorating and really tedious little itty bitty things, you're going to love this. If you're like me and is not a perfectionist, this is how I do it. So I'm going to add a little white to whatever color I'm going to put on the tree. So I'm going to start with some red ornaments. So it's mostly red, itty bitty bit of white. And I'm just going to kind of dot a couple ornaments here and there. And if you really like that Dip and dot technique, where you use the tail end, go for it. I'm even kind of swirling it a little bit to make them a little bigger. So with your primary colors, you can mix up a ton of other colors. So what if you want to do a purple ornament? And of course, I'm going to do blue and red and a little bit of white, just so it's a little more visible. Do some purple ornaments. And I'm going to do yellow. Of course, adding white. You'll notice if you don't add white, your color will be a little see-through since the screen is so dark. And you're welcome to make little fun shapes like stars or I don't know what other kind of ornament shapes. Anything you can think of. Really go to town on this. I trust you to add whatever ornaments will make you happy. I'm feeling pretty happy with this. I like that it's a little random, a couple different sizes. I think this fits my personality, so I'm going to keep it as is and not tinker too much. But final step, always got to do it, sign your painting. Gallery standard is the bottom right-hand corner. You can always write a secret message on the back, like, I don't know, maybe that you love someone or maybe Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and it won't shine through. So fun little secret message if you like. But thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you guys. It's always fun, and I hope that you enjoy this creative time as much as I do. Make sure you find us on social media. I'm going to add our Instagram in the chat at @the_paint mixer or hashtag the paint mixer. We would love to see what you create. And thanks again. Have a wonderful holiday season and go to thepaintmixer.com to see all of our fun classes and offerings. All right. See you later.